these guys are like all of us. We all came through careers, some very successfully, some not so successfully, and there are people looking for their next step, which is a really positive thing. Certainly hockey players have some skills that they probably don't stop and think about. For instance, the ability to focus, obtaining results, clear goals, trust, building trust in teams, being accountable, things like that. Those are things that players deal with all the time, and they're extremely important in the world of work. Players may not realize that, but hiring ex-athletes has been a very successful endeavor for many, many companies. It's pretty interesting because a lot of times I call them corporate athletes, the people I work with now. The skill sets that they need are very similar to professional athletes, and we talk about building trust within teams, taking a responsibility for yourself, being accountable to other people, being ready to build healthy conflict into relationships. Once again, striving for success, because obviously in the world of work today, it's tough out there in terms of running a business. So they want people who they can rely on, and I mean, professional athletes for the most part have these innate skills that are very transferable, and that's a very, very positive thing. You know, a lot of players look at it like, wow, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, you may not know exactly what you're going to do, but you do have lots of good skills to bring with you. I think that, you know, in many, many businesses, small and large, people work in teams, whether that be a team of 5 or a team of 35. And a lot of times they haven't stopped to think how important it is to build that trust. And we don't have to be in love with each other, but we need to respect each other. And certainly players who've played the game, you know, from the time they're 5 or 6 years of age, they understand what it's like to be in a team and depending on people to help them, because we all know if guys let the team down, if 2 or 3 guys let the team down, they don't practice hard, they're not committed to games, game after game, it's pretty tough to have real success. And if you watch right now the Stanley Cup playoffs, there's a lot of trust in those teams. Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you know, all of us are anxious about ending our career, and it happens to everybody. You know, maybe the odd guy gets to play into his 40s, but those are only people who are making a lot of money, and like Chelios and guys like that who can really do it. But I think the things that bother players or concern them, one, they might be in their comfort zone. That's what they know. They know a lot about hockey, but they haven't had to or have the experience to do a lot of other things. And being in your comfort zone is pretty easy. On the other hand, you know, to plan and to look at different things that you can do, that can also be a little bit scary and intimidating, actually. But the real truth is, I call it the principle of solving issues. You know, the first thing to do is collect information about things that you're interested in, and find out really, then base your decisions on the information that you've collected. In between my career as a player and a coach, I was back in Canada and I worked as a high school counselor, and part of that was career counseling. In fact, a big portion of it was career counseling, and we developed a job shadowing program. There was 2 sides to that. When they had the opportunity to job shadow, ask questions, find out information, kind of live in that job for a day or 2, they found out really what was important in the job. And for some students, that confirmed what they wanted to be. That's positive. And for other students, they were surprised and they didn't really understand, wow, I didn't know in this particular occupation you need to do this. And they decided that wasn't really for them, but that's also positive, because they didn't waste time dreaming or thinking or spending money on education about something that maybe didn't interest them. So, I mean, we found that a pretty successful step. And I think for professional players the guys that you're working with here, they've been a lot of places in the world, possibly. They've spent so much time concentrating on hockey. It's just a good idea to go and actually be in the shoes of the people who do that job. It's not just having a coffee and talking to their buddy about being an insurance salesman. That's actually watching, doing, living, feeling, touching, breathing, sleeping it, and that gives them a really good insight into what they could do. I think, by and large, hockey players are pretty good at networking. They have a friend who has a friend who has a friend, because that's been their lifestyle. And if they really make some plans and proactively go after opportunities to job shadow, to meet people, to talk to them, it's a little bit intimidating when you haven't been in that world. But once you do it once, it's like anything else. It's like playing golf. First time's intimidating, and most hockey players play some golf. They understand what that's about, and just learning the process of getting involved in discussions about their future with people. As they do that, they'll become better at it. And when you become better at it, you get more confident at it. And when you're more confident at things, you'll do a better job. And you can bring yourself some really good information and help yourself to make decisions. Oh, absolutely. I think probably for me, one of the biggest things is for all of us was financial planning, knowing exactly what was good and what was bad. In a dressing room at the pro level, somebody's always buying something that's going to make them a million. Well, it doesn't always happen. And when you're a player who maybe hasn't made that much money, you can't afford to start playing the stock market if you don't really know what you're doing. You learn, and when you learn, you feel more confident. I said this before, but it's always the fact that the best thing to do is collect information and make your decisions based on good information, rather than daydreaming and saying, I wish, or I should. How about I will, I am. Yeah, that's what we try to do, really. After 2 days, what I would like them to do is leave the seminar with one sheet of paper with some plans on it. The action plan being, what is it that I want to do? How am I going to do it? Who can help me? And what's my timeline? My timeline means that I should start on something 72 hours after I make that commitment. And it's no different than the people in business. And believe me, I work with some pretty high-end people, but they also have their comfort zone. They also need to get information from their peers. They also need to express themselves. And believe me, I don't stand up there in a seminar and tell everybody what they should do and run pom-poms up and down the wall. We work very intensely and reflect on where they've been and what they'd like to do. For instance, for a young hockey player, when I say young, I mean guys coming out of the game, probably in their mid-20s, mid-30s, whatever level they've been at. It's okay, now how am I going to approach this? Not just to try and get rid of a little bit of the fear or intimidation of saying, geez, all my friends have been out in business now for the last 10, 12 years and I've been playing hockey. But you can get there because you do bring those generic skills that I talked about earlier. They're transferable. And you've also seen a lot and done a lot and had a lot of experiences and been with people who are very competitive and goal-oriented. Bring those skills and then match them to something that really interests you.